The shards are getting harder to find. That's Trigger Hill, where the Army's elite became the finest marksmen in the land. No risk of Culford Cauldron ever erupting again, they used to say. Guess they were wrong. Fallen malt is filled with crunchy minerals that'll keep you safe out on them rocks. Nothing like a quick nap after a hearty meal. We've all got stories worth telling. Kid ain't the only one. What's he thinking? Well, let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the Tassel terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Ceylondia. folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. Mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Her father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mansers. It's for your own good, he said. took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. Now, where were we?
Dig my hole, you build a wall. I dig my hole.
At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city.
That wall is gonna fall. Gonna build that city on a hill. That city on a hill. Someday those tears are gonna spill. So build that wall and build it strong, 'cause we'll be there for too long. Gonna build that wall up to the sky. Gonna build that wall up to the sky.
One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him.
Gonna build that wall until it's done. Gonna build that wall until it's done. But now you got nowhere to run. So build that wall and build it strong, 'cause we'll be there for too long.
The young man convinced her to take him to her family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals.
One day that wall is gonna fall. Gonna build that city on a hill.
When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. Well, I digress. Knocks him into an uneasy sleep. What's he thinking? Well, let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the Tassel terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Ceylondia. Her folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Ura refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. Mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mancers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. convinced her to take him to a family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. It was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tassel terminals. They would hide inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. But the authorities were already there when that scumbag sidled up to the city walls. The young man had sent the authorities a tip, told him her father was using her to sell secrets to the Tassel terminals.
Build that city on a hill. Build that city on a hill. Someday those tears are gonna spill.
She and her father were arrested for treason, but her father got a deal. Returned to work for the Mansers, and she'd go free.
We'll be there before too long. Build that wall up to the sky.
Before they parted ways for the last time, her father whispered a desperate plea. Hurry home to the den and lock yourself in.
Someday your bird is gonna fly. Build that wall until it's done. Build that wall until it's done. But now you got to hit 'em up.
underground inside that den, she found a journal written in her father's hand. The next day, the door to the den turned to ash. The girl came up for air, and she saw the calamity all around her. When the kid wakes up, his world's still in pieces, just the way he left it. That's the way to make every shot count. Even the army never issued carbines in such fine shape. Never could ask for a song. Ceylondia's army only took the best, and the best of them trained on Trigger Hill. The Triggers believed they were nothing without their rifles. Nothing beats the feel of shooting a Ceylondian army carbine. Sometimes you had to take care to steady your shot. The Triggers had clearance to modify their guns however they chose. Some felt the course was too easy, so the Triggers spiced things up a bit. The kid ain't bad, but the Triggers were better. His ears must be ringing after all that shooting. If you want to master the art of the firearm, then the place to go is Trigger Hill. Sometimes you had to shoot from the hip. They had to keep moving to avoid getting burned. Kid blows through that course like it was nothing. The Ceylondian army would have recruited him in a flash. Can't be too careful these days. Not everything blew up in the calamity. Why Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. Think the gods are gonna help? One thing's worse than the heat in Colford Cauldron. The smell, like rotten eggs. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. Best to keep out of the cauldron. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. It takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Colford Cauldron. That learning led to some interesting inventions. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. Playing with the cauldron's fires became an addiction. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here. But we discovered other things we're better off not knowing. The unforgiving scent of sulfurous dirt. Taste the air so hot it sticks to your lungs. All sorts of awful things crawling underfoot. cook those things, but you can't eat them. Never thought we'd find so much life in all that ash. The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. We kept on sifting through the cauldron's secrets anyway. Place as inhospitable as they come. But still we pressed on. After all, when we looked down inside Colford Cauldron, looked down through all the smoke and flames, we saw in there the heart of the world, the heart now laid bare by the calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Charleston Bar. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. Well, it ain't polite to stare. Where there's one stink eye, there's always more. The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. Don't shed any tears for him, though. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city. But all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. We need an awful big lost and found under the circumstances. The culture, a still life of old unwanted keepsakes. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. Oh, his manners ain't so bad. Gotta watch your fingers around that little guy. Come on, give the little tyke a break. They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us now. Cinder brick stout sure goes down smooth, then stays in your gut like a rock.